Hi guys, I'm Tracy. Thank you for joining me today. So I wanted to put together a compilation of reviews and more in-depth information about the cheek brushes that I've gotten from Beautylish. So a couple of these are not available right now, but I'm pretty sure in the future they'll be available. So I'm gonna go over them in case you guys want to get on the wait list and get notified when it comes back into stock. Okay, so these are all the brushes that I'm going to go over today. I've purchased these all from Beautylish over the years, and these are all designated as cheek brushes, but I'm going to tell you guys what I actually use them for. So first off, let me talk about the Koyuto BP13. Now this brush, I bought it because I've heard it's a dupe for the Tom Ford bronzer brush, which everyone loves, and I think it's like $100, but they don't make it with natural hair anymore, so it's not very good. Anyways, I've always wanted to try a really high-end bronzer brush, and for a long time I didn't know how to do my bronzer. So if you are like that, you're not really comfortable using a smaller blush brush or a contour brush to do your bronzer, I think this is a really great way to get into bronzer without messing up your face. So it's a big brush and it's very dense. It's considered a foundation brush, but I'm gonna just guess that most people use it for bronzer and blush and things like that. And it's not super dense, but it is pretty dense. And this is Soko goat hair. It's not like the super silky goat hair, but it's soft enough, I think. So I'm gonna use it. I already have makeup on, but I'm gonna show you guys kind of what kind of results it gives me. I'm gonna just dab a little bit in my Hoola bronzer, and this is how I use it. I just kind of all over, because it covers such a large area. My earrings are in the way. It just puts a little bit in a large area. So I don't know if you can tell. So that's what I use this for, and I also use it to powder. If I want to powder my entire face really quickly, this does it because it's such a big brush. It covers so much space. And I think this is my biggest brush. The next one would be the Koyuto K002, which is about the same. I think they are the exact same length, but the Koyuto is way sparser. But I do use this one for the same purpose. So I'm not going to show you guys because I don't highly recommend that brush. But this one, I'm not saying like, oh, you gotta have this for your bronzer. If you are someone that does not like to do really detailed bronzer looks and you kind of just want to really quick in the morning do this and warm up your face, I think this is the best one that I've ever used. So it just depends. If that's something you're going to do, I think it's great, and if not, then I do not think it's necessary at all. And then, so next we're going to do the Sonia G Phase 2. So I went over this a couple videos ago, and this, in her description, it's a blush, bronzer, highlight brush, and I think ideally you do want to use it like this for blush and highlight. And as far as intensity, it's in the middle. It's not like super dense like the Koyuto J210, but it's it's not super flimsy like the soft cheek here. It's kind of in between. And some really interesting thing I've noticed is I've been using this for foundation. So it's been used in liquids for about a week, I would say, and the bristles are not stuck together. Oh, you can see that. They're not like all mashed together like you would expect from a brush used with liquids and creams. If you compare that to my Goss, which I use this for creams, look at how it's like the bristles are all matted together with the cream. So I'm not sure what kind of magic is in this brush, but I mean, it's holding up really well, because when it gets all matted, I really need to wash it. But that's the Phase 2. I use it in a way that it's not recommended for, but you know, you can use your brushes however you want. And I really, really like this for foundation. I can't speak so much for blush. I haven't had it long enough. But if you want to put on a really sheer foundation application, like you don't want to look like you have makeup on, this does that. And you really need that much. And I just kind of buff it like this. And it hasn't been leaving streaks, surprisingly. So that's what I've been using this for. All right, then we're gonna go over these next two brushes. I went into detail in my last video, or my last video. So I'm not gonna do, you know, too much, but this is the Cheek Pro. And these that I'm mentioning so far are all available. I use this for powder bronzer, and I use it kind of here, and I use it here. And it provides a pretty strong application. I'll kind of give you guys an idea. I'm going to use my Hoola bronzer again. So I kind of like pounce it right here. And I kind of bring it up here. I don't like the way it does the forehead because it's too strong. But I use it like here. And then I blend it upwards like that. So very different from the way that Koyuto works. And I really, really like this for blush. If you want to put like a very strong, very kind of like a smaller area of blush, this is a really good brush for that. And then the Designer Pro, it's I use this for setting powder, but I've also used it as highlighter, and it provides a very light sheer application of powder. I highly recommend this one. Very versatile brush. And then we're gonna go over the Sonia G Cheek Pro, no, Classic Cheek. And I'm gonna say that this one is not necessary. I don't actually use it, so I don't have a lot of information to give you guys about this brush, so I apologize. I don't really use it. It is great for blush when I did use it. It's comparable to the Designer Pro, except that it's much denser and it's a little flatter and is obviously undyed goat hair. So when you have undyed versus dyed goat hair, it's not going to pick up product or powder as well, because when you dye, this is according to Sonia G's blog, when you dye the goat hair, the cuticle of the hair becomes more porous and is more, it picks up more powder. So I like that, you know, I can just kind of dip really quickly and, you know, I have my powder on there already. This would be good for like a NARS blush, something that is kind of like a harder pan, because it is pretty dense. But I really can't speak for first-hand knowledge because I haven't really used it a whole lot. It is very soft, and I mean, it's a beautiful brush. I just don't think it's necessary if you have other blush brushes, and I haven't really found a use for it that I'm really excited about. So that's the Classic Cheek. And then now we're going to go over a Wayne Goss brush that I really, really enjoy. That's the number 12. So it's shaped like this. And I use it similarly to the Cheek Pro. I kind of put on, except I use it for creams because it's undyed. I use it with my like Tarte cream bronzer to contour like that. Another thing that I use it for that today, I used it for my LYS cream blush, which I am loving, by the way. I'm just loving this brand. Everything I get from them is just so good. So this is not the typical color I buy. It's the deep berry shade, and the model, it looks beautiful on the model in the Sephora listing, but she has very deep skin, so I was like, oh, it's gonna be too much for me, but I really like it. It's what I'm wearing today. I'll show you guys. And you know, because my skin is pretty light right now, you really don't need much at all. It kind of gives that color of like if I were to actually be blushing, like if I got embarrassed, you know, that kind of look. Or if I were to have gotten a sunburn or something, that's kind of what it reminds me of. So that's how that looks. So I really enjoy this also for like contouring here, blending out bronzer and contour here. But pretty much this is what I use this brush for, and it's amazing. I've had it for a while. I've washed it so many times. It doesn't shed. It's super high quality. Highly recommend this number 12 by Goss. Okay, so these last two are not in stock, and I haven't been able to confirm. Sonia G hasn't confirmed that it will be in stock, and I'm just going to really quickly mention the soft cheek. I have a video dedicated to comparing these two, which is, this is like the newer version, the one that she released more recently, and this is the original one. They're both great. I do prefer the original one. It's more dense. It's a little flatter on the top. You can't get this one anymore. She's not going to be releasing this type. And so this, if it does come back, this is what it would look like. It is very soft. It's dyed goat hair. And I say this is probably my favorite Sona G brush because it applies blush so beautifully. I'm going to put some powder blush on this side. I'm going to use the Chanel, I don't remember the name. You know, they're well-known blushes. And if you have a very pigmented blush, this is a good one to use if you don't want to look like a clown, you know. So this is how I use it. I kind of just like brush it over my cheeks like that. I don't have highlighter on either, so it must be the blush I'm using. So that's the soft cheek. I'm really hoping she brings back the soft cheek, but I'm not sure. She's mentioned in her post that it's been very difficult to source those types of hairs. My understanding is because these hairs are very long, they're harder to find. Also, the dyeing process that she uses for her brush is the very specific way. I think it's like tea dyed or something. Don't quote me on that, but it's not something that just any brush maker has or can do. So this one is just a very difficult brush to source. So that's the soft cheek. And then the last one I'm going to mention is the Sonia G Mini cheek. So this is her itty bitty little cheek brush. It's not in stock. I'm pretty sure it will come back. It's dyed and undyed goat hair, so you can see the different colors. It doesn't shed that much, just happened to be shedding. So you can see that there's, you know, the white hairs and the brown hairs. And it's pinched pretty good there. So the base is very narrow, and it's just a little, you know, exactly the name, mini cheek brush. And I really enjoy this for highlighter. It doesn't give a too strong of an application. I'm going to use the Hourglass Sculpture palette. I really like the highlighter in here, so I just use it really sparingly right here. And then if you do highlight here, because it's so narrow, it does get that area really well. I don't put a whole lot of highlighter. That's really as much highlighter as I use. Those are the cheek brushes that I wanted to mention. There are a couple of others. I did mention them in previous videos. I'll just tell you, they're the two wing Goss brushes that are used for the cheeks. I went over that in the last video, so I don't want to be too redundant. But I just wanted to give you guys as much information on the cheek brushes that I had. So that's pretty much it. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye.